Hi, this is Anil from Learning Lad and welcome to another video on the C programming video series for beginners. In this video, we will talk about file handling in C programming language. We will see why we have to use files, how we can create file and how we can open the files in C language. Now, first of all, why we have to use files? Now, when we write a program, in order to store information, we use variables. So as long as the program is running, those variables can contain data. When the program is terminated, that information is gone. In your program, if you want to save information, even when the program is not running, then you can use files. We can say that files are nothing but the containers for storing information. Now, when we talk about the C programming language, there are mainly two types of files. One, text files, and secondly, binary files. Text files are the files which contain the information in text form. Binary files are the files which contain information in binary form in terms of zeros and ones. When we have information in text files, as a user, we can open up that file, we can read the contents and we can understand it. But when we have binary files, even though we can open up those files, we can't understand the contents because they will be in the form of zeros and ones. Now, the next thing that we see here is about how we can create and open files in C programming language. Now, in order to work with files in C programming language, the stdio.h header file contains some functionality. All we have to do is use those functionality and we can work with files. For example, in order to open a file, a function is available called as fopen. So to open the file, first we have to provide the name of the file along with the path that we want to open, and then we have to specify in what mode we want to work with the file, which is nothing but what we want to do with that file. Whether we are opening the file for reading purpose, whether we are opening the file for writing purpose, or we want to open the file and add some extra information to that will be specified in the mode. Now, this fopen function returns a structure which contains the information about the file that we have opened. And that structure is defined in this stdio.h header file, and it looks something like this. So the name of the structure is file. It contains the file descriptor and it has some memory. It contains the file size and it contains the position that we are in that file. About that we will learn later in this video series. This fopen function returns a pointer to a value of type file structure. Now here, when we specify the file name, if you want, we can specify the name along with the path, exactly where that file is residing, or we can just provide the file name. If we only provide the file name, then the C language will search for the file in the current directory from which this program is running. Now, when we talk about the file opening modes, there are many different file opening modes. One is called as R, which means that we want to open the file for reading purpose. When we specify the mode as R here, what happens is the fopen function tries to find the file with the name that we have given, and if that file is present, it will open up that file and it will provide us for reading. If the file contains any contents, that will be preserved. Nothing happens to that. We can read from the file. If that file is not present, then this fopen function returns a null value. So if you get a null value, it means that file is not present or there was some issue while opening the file. The second mode is called as W. And when we use the file opening mode as W, it means that we want to open the file for writing purpose. Now here, the difference is when we have the file opening mode R, if the file is not present, it will return null value. When we use the mode as W, if the file is not present, a new file will be created with that name and with that type. And if the file is already present, then that file contents will be erased. We will get a brand new file. So if the file is not there, it will be created. If the file is present, then its contents will be erased. We get a brand new file to work on. That is when we use the mode W. And then we have another file opening mode called as A, which is for append. So what happens when we use the file opening mode append is, if the file is not there, it will be created. If the file is present, then it will be opened, and whatever the file contents are there, they will be preserved. They will not be deleted. So by using this append file opening mode, what we can do is we can open up an existing file, or we can create a new file and add contents to that file. If the file is present and it contains some information, then we will be able to add more information. We will be able to append to that file. Now the next file opening mode that we see is called as R+. It means that we want to open the file for reading and writing purpose. If the file is present, it will be opened and we will be able to read and write to that file. If the file is not present, then it will not create a new file. It will return the null pointer. The next file opening mode is W+. Here again, it opens the file for reading and writing purpose. If the file is not there, it will be created and it will be opened. Now with that file, we can perform read and write operations. If the file is already present, then whatever the contents that are present in that file, that will be erased. We get a brand new file to work with, and we will be able to read and write to that file. The next file opening mode is called as A+. Again, when we use the file opening mode A+, it will open the file for reading and writing. Now, if the file is not present, it will be created and it will be opened. If the file is already present and if it contains some information, then the file will be opened. The content will be preserved. It will not be deleted. When we use W+, if the file is there and it contains some information, then it will be deleted. But with A+, file will be opened. If it has any contents, then they will not be deleted. They will be there. We will be able to perform read and write operations. So these are the file opening modes available with the normal text file. With the binary files also, we have the same options available, but in order to mention that, we have to use the B keyword along with these file opening modes, and this is for binary files. So instead of R, we will have RB. Instead of W, it will be WB. Instead of A, it will be AB. Then it can be RB plus or R plus B, WB plus or W plus B, AB plus or A plus B. So when we specify B here, it means that we are working with the binary files. Otherwise, it will be, normal text files. Okay. Now we will see how we can create and open a file using the C programming language. So here, if we want to create a file, then what we have to do? First, we will define a file pointer. So it will be of type file. This structure file is defined in the stdio.h. And here I will create a pointer. I will call it as file pointer. And we will initialize this with a value of null. Now here I have made the mistake of writing the structure name wrong. It should be file. Everything should be in capital. Now the next thing that we do is we will use the fopen function and we will try to open the file. So it will be fopen, and then we have to provide the file name along with the path. In this case, I'm not gonna provide the path. I will provide only the file name. So it will search for that file from the folder where we are running this executable file, which is this programs folder. So here I will say anil.txt, and I will try to open the file using the file opening mode R. if you look at this folder, this anil.txt is not there, so it will return a null pointer. If the file is present, then we should get the proper file pointer. So we will store the return value of this fopen function in this file pointer. Now the next thing that we do is we will make sure that file has been opened properly. We can do that by using the if conditional statement, and we will check the file pointer value. So it will be file pointer. If it is equal to null, then it means that there was some issue while opening the file. Maybe file was not there. So we will use the printf statement in here, and we will display a message, error while opening the file. Now if we get the proper file pointer in this file pointer that we have, and if it is not a null value, then it means that the file has been opened. So in this example, I will just use the printf statement, and I will say file opened successfully. Now after that, whenever we work with the files, if we open a file, then we should close the file. In order to close the file, a function is available, and it is called as fclose, and here we have to provide the file pointer that we want to close, and that file pointer is present in this file pointer variable that we have. Okay, now we have written the program in here. If you look at this folder, we don't have this anil.txt, and that's why when I run this program, we should get error while opening the file. So I will run this, and in the terminal we get error while opening the file, because here we are trying to open the file using the file opening mode R. So if the file is not there, it will return null value. Now here what I will do is I will change the mode to W. If the file is not there, it will be created and it will be opened. So now after changing the file opening mode to W, if I run this code now, then we can see file opened successfully. If we look at this folder, then you can see a file has been created with the name anil.txt. If I open up that, nothing is there in that file. Now just to demonstrate this, what I will do is I will open up this anil.txt file, and I will have some text here, any data. I will save the file and come back to my file.c, that is the source code of this tutorial. Now again what I do is I will run this program. This time we have the file opening mode W, and here we have this anil.txt file. What it will do is it will open up that file, but it will clear the contents of this anil.txt. If we look at this, we have this text in here in this anil.txt. So I will run this program. As usual, in the terminal we get file opened successfully, but if I go to the anil.txt, as you guys can see here, the contents are removed. It is a brand new file to work for us. Now again what I will do, I will have some text here, and I will come back to the file.c. I will change the mode to A. Now I will run this program again. Now here file opened successfully. If I go to anil.txt, the file contents will be there. Since we are opening the file using the file opening mode A, that is for appending, the file contents will not be removed. Again, finally, I will delete this anil.txt and I will run this program. File opening mode will be A. Now what happens is we get file opened successfully. File has been created here. So this is how we can create and open a file in C language. Now experiment with this code, change the file opening mode and delete the files, and try to do different things. In that way you will clearly understand how a file opening mode works. So this is it guys for this particular video. In the next videos we will see how we can write to the files, how we can read from the files. So this is it guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later in the next one.